Julie.
Hi, Alan.
Hello. Hi. Early today, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy. My daughter just showed me a video on the Shiva World where this guy tried to stab a Rebbe, and all the Hasidim were chasing him. Maybe 100 Hasidim. They knocked him down. I don't know. They they
No, but
chased him.
I saw
100.
something in the news that, well, maybe it's the same thing. It says it tried to stop.
He tried to stab, Dushinsky, Rabbi Dushinsky or something. And they chased him. He came back in the morning. He tried. They came back at night to do it again, and they chased him. And it shows up in the street, hundreds of Hasidim running after the guy. He's getting away. I guess one guy caught up with him and knocked him down, and then that's the end of the thing. They might have beat him up. That's what they got to do. They catch these guys. They got to beat them up. That little boy, his parents were Jewish,
Yeah.
Yeah, shame. The little 2-year-old boy.
Well, no, I don't know what you're talking about.
In Chicago, in the shooting.
They were Jews also? No.
Yeah, the mother was born in Russia. She came in with her parents, and she got married. I don't think the guy's Jewish, but they look Jewish.
No, because the name is not Jewish.
McCarthy, but she was born a Jew. Her parents came over and said that she was Jewish.
There were 2 other Jews also, 2 women.
Yes, a woman, and I think a man too was Strauss or something was Jewish. Yeah.
Terrible.
Half of the Highland.
And the guy admitted, so he's gone straight to sentencing. But his lawyer says after they give him the life sentences, he'll appeal.
Yeah,
appeal what?
What? Yeah, of course. What a stupid. The parents they don't take fault for it. I mean, sure they're at fault if they see their kid as, he has 10 guns and he's a little bit sugar. They don't give permission to the kid to buy guns. The assault rifle for what? Yeah,
this was a high powered rifle.
Oh, automatic AK-15. Imagine to get off.
But the guy must have very good. He must be a sharp shooter because.
Well, not necessarily. If you have hundreds of people, you shoot. He wasn't necessarily aiming at any specific people, just aiming at people. You got him. You hit somebody. If you have thousands of people there in the crowd,
yeah, you're right.
Somebody, you can hit somebody. You're not gonna. Who knows what he is? Who knows?
It's like that thing in Vegas. Remember a few years ago?
That guy, 59 people he killed. Yeah, it's like shooting ducks. It's like shooting ducks. Yeah.
Now, in Chicago, in Illinois, there doesn't seem to be death penalty. So this guy is gonna.
And they'll appeal, but they'll kill him in jail probably. He's a weirdo. Anyhow,
No, but he has some markings. He belongs to some groups. On one side, he has a 7 and the other 47. I don't know what it means.
I don't know what he is. I don't think anybody knows what it means. Yeah.
Harold, is it hot?
No.
Is it hot?
No, not hot. No.
Where are you?
In the desert.
Oh, okay. Good.
He's at Standard Oil.
Yeah, I'm at the gas station.
Okay. Candid.
Your sound is low, Harold.
The sun?
Sounds.
What does it say? This standard? Are you
now?
Station?
How about now?
Now it's okay.
Good.
Oh, I have this in.
Okay.
Oh.
Looks like you're in a standard station. Are you in a gas
No,
station?
it's a picture.
Oh, it's a picture. Okay.
Can I check your oil?
Yeah.
Under the hood. Under the hood.
Oil went down.
Oh yeah, I saw. Yeah, I'm gonna buy a few barrels.
Yeah.
I'll fill up my car all the way now.
One barrel is what, 40 gallons?
55 gallons.
Okay.
No, I know, but a barrel of oil,
Oh, a barrel of oil?
I think it's 40 gallon.
Oh, I don't know.
Producers. They lose money, the poor guys.
Yeah, poor guy. Yeah.
But I see all these articles of people with electric cars. They can't, there's no charging stations, not enough charging stations.
Wow.
So someone got stuck. I figured they were driving and they died. And what do you do when you're stuck? How do you get the car? How do you charge it?
They advertise 500 miles, but they don't get more than half of that.
No, they
No,
don't.
If you have the air
No, because
conditioner
the people
on,
drive-
it's hot.
People
Yeah,
drive
especially-
at 75 miles an hour with the air conditioning blowing.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, you use up the battery, yeah.
So
Yeah,
how do
they
you go
get probably
to, how do you go
300.
to, how do you go to
That's
Las
why-
Vegas?
That's why you have to drive a Prius.
Yeah.
Right, right. You know, they have in Baker, you know, halfway between LA and Vegas, they have
Yeah.
this huge charging station, but you have to get there. So some people don't even make it that far. They get stuck in Banning.
Yeah.
Eventually they'll get it right, but it's very early in this concept.
And California has a lot of charging stations. If you're stuck
Yeah.
in Oregon or not Oregon, in Utah or
Yeah, there was an
Okay.
article 2 weeks ago in the Wall Street Journal. A writer wanted to test it. She drove from Milwaukee to New Orleans. So, and she, based on the advertising, they said charging here, charging there. When she went there, it was out of service. You know, it's like, you can't depend on it.
yeah. You know, I was talking, Maurice has a new electric
Oh,
car.
beautiful. That Lucid, beautiful.
Yeah, but
But-
I sat down, it's not comfortable, Harold.
Oh, it's
I'm
not?
I'm not a tall person. I have to put my head down to get in.
Really? It's a
It
big
has
car
a very
too.
low,
Ah,
What kind of
How
car
do
does
you
he
do
have?
that?
Audi?
Yeah.
What does he have? Audi?
Lucid, a Lucid.
Lucid. It's a new company from Arizona.
Oh,
But he says-
LUCID.
He says that it comes supposedly for 520 miles,
Oh,
a full charge, but he never got more than 350.
oh, that's what he said. Uh-huh.
Well, but Maurice drives at 80, 90 miles an hour.
Oh,
So
okay. So that's not, that'll wear out the battery real fast.
he says he'd never go with that car to, he has business in Arizona, but he won't go with that car.
I won't go too far. Yeah.
Because
Yeah, where he has some property, that's where the factory is. So that's why he bought it.
Oh,
Yeah, it's right where the city where he has a whole bunch of apartment buildings.
Well, he goes,
Yeah.
that's in Aris Phoenix, right? That's where he has his apartment.
Yeah, he has in the place called Sierra Vista. There's a couple of suburbs there. He has property. He's had it for a long time.
yeah.
Uncle Freddie had it. Got he and Uncle Freddie and his father.
Right, right.
Yeah. He made money the old-fashioned way.
What's
Yeah,
that?
he inherited. it.
Inherited. It was 8 o'clock. No, so we agreed 8.
Yeah, 8
Right.
o'clock.
Yeah, but maybe he said 8:05.
Oh,
Oh,
Walter.
Okay.
Belleville,
Yeah,
where is our esteemed Moritz Asra?
I don't know where he is, but
Is he golfing?
yeah, obviously, maybe. Oh, how's Palm Rancho
nice.
Barrari?
It's nice. As soon as the sun went down, it cooled off a lot.
It must be very hot there today.
No, today was 92, 93.
Hmm. Okay.
That is a dry heat.
Yeah, there's hardly any humidity. It's funny. You joke about it. It's only, what's the humidity? 23%.
Yeah.
In LA,
Elaza, thank you for the present. Fits me
Does it fit you? Does
Yeah,
it fit you? Oh,
yes.
good.
what'd you
You
get?
You'll be the
I
best
can't-
dressed
I
man
can't
in town.
disclose it. I got very expensive products from Elaza.
You're the best dressed man in LA now.
That's right. Okay. All right, let me just go. I just came back. I just went with Esty. I went up to Oxnard with her today, so we were there for the day.
Oh, nice.
We
How's
went
she
to the
feeling?
winery twice. I don't know. I never ate so much in my life. I'm just crazy. It's crazy. I had
You have the wine?
a bison burger for lunch. Oh, here's the Amora de Astra.
I was asked to make a minion at Bobby Recknitz's house because he has yard site today.
Oh,
So I have to just not mincha. I left by Mara. Okay, Chuf Chaf.
No, you didn't finish. We got to do the Gemara.
Tana.
Oh,
We said
you
Lazu
can-
Edim Ubanim. Right, we had two tsaras. Excuse me. Reuben and Shimon married two wives, and they come back and say Mace Bailey. Now, to one of the wives, they have Edim and children. And we said the other one has no Edim, no children. Shteim mutaros. They're both are permitted. The one that has children is not Zokok Liyibum at all. And the one that doesn't have children can rely on the other woman who said her husband died, so there's no brother in the picture. Then the Mishnah said Nisyab. Let's say besides Reuven and Shimon, there was Levi and Yehuda. Now, Levi and Yehuda could do Yibum to them, right? We're talking about these two women come back. They say Reuven and Shimon died in China, and there's Levi and Shimon. Levi and Yehuda. So Levi and Yehuda marry these women, right? We said they can't marry themselves because we don't rely on their testimony because each one is testifying about the tzara, and you can't believe the testimony about the tzara. But if Levi and Shimon married them, and then they died, so there was a machlokes. The Tanakhama said they go back and they revert to their isser because we go back to the original testimony about their husbands. Rabbi Elazar has a svara. Well, since Levi and Shimon married them, they can marry anybody now. Boy, Rava. Now, my time in Rabbi Elazar, we're trying to evaluate the svara of Rabbi Elazar. Mishum de ksaver tzar me'id el chaverta. Perhaps he doesn't hold of the shita that we don't rely on the testimony of one woman about the co-wife, about the other wife, and therefore there's no problem with each one giving testimony about the other. Even though she might be choshu to lie, that she said her husband died in order to ruin it for the other woman. But if she went ahead and got married, so it must be that her words are true. Otherwise, she wouldn't have got married herself. She could be mamzeris. Now, what's the nafkamina between these two svaras of Rabbi Elazar? L'may nafkamina. La'ansur l'tzar mekame didon. Can the other wife, the one who went with the husband to China, and she said her husband died, and then there was a co-wife. Can the co-wife get married before the woman herself who testified that her husband died got married? And let's see how it goes. If there's no problem testifying about your tzara, so then afagav deloyan siv. So even if the index woman herself doesn't get married, minasivin la tzara, the bezdin will marry the co-wife. However, she wouldn't ruin herself. So then we sort of have to. It's like testing poison first. We have to wait to see if she gets married. That's proof that she's not lying, right? In siv, if she herself gets married, mistavin la tzara. So then the co-wife can get married. Ilo insiv lo must be in life. So that's a nafkamina between these two reasons svaras that could be operating here in Rabbi. So bring me a proof to one or the other. Toshma. Rabbi Lazar Amar Hoyel v'hutra li'avamin hutra l'chol. Our Mishnah said that Reuben and Shimon went to China with their wives. The two wives came back. They each testified about their husbands. We said for themselves they couldn't get married. But if the two brothers that remain marry them, and then they die, they can marry other people. If we use the svara to say, you know why they can marry other people? Because she's not going to ruin herself. And she proved that she's not going to ruin herself by marrying the other brothers. That's why we let her marry. But if the svara is because we're not worried that she's trying to ruin the tzara, so it makes no difference. If there's, even if she didn't get married, she'd be allowed to get married. The svara is, if she gets married, that's the litmus test, that because she's not ruining herself. So yes.
Sorry, what would happen if when the two wives come back and each one testifies about the brother-in-law who died? So that it's a witness, one witness is
I know,
accepted.
but remember, we said that a woman is not believed when she's testifying where there's a ramification for the tzara, because she hates them. And therefore, we suspect that she's trying to ruin the tzara. So we would only believe it about herself, about her husband. But about the tzara's husband, we wouldn't believe.
Okay.
So the Gemara says, no, Rabbi Lazar l'divrei kamelahu. Rabbi Lazar could be responding to the Chachamim. Lididi, according to my reasoning, I'm not worried, Mario, about the woman trying to ruin the other woman. And therefore, we accept testimony about the other wife. Tzara me'ida lechaverta. And therefore, afal gav lo yinsif mitzavinan law. We would marry off the tzara even if the index woman would not get married. But you chachamim ledidchu, at least, oiduli, at least admit to me as the hecha the insif. If the index woman gets married, misavinan law, should be hilo makak lenafsha. That's going to be clear proof that we should allow the tzara to get married. Yet, Rabbanon say, listen to this, Tomus nafshi and plishtim hudikavta. She's willing to bring mamzeris on her head, like Shimshon, who trampled down on his own head to kill the plishtim. She's willing to commit suicide. She's willing to get married even though she knows she's going to ruin herself. That's how much hatred she has for the tzara. And the Gemara accepts that. Toshma. Woman and her husband go to China. She comes back, she can get married, she can get her ksuba. Now, if the husband was married to another wife that stayed back in LA, again, we're concerned, we never accept testimony that relates to the tzara, because she might be trying to ruin it for her. However, Rabbi Lazar Oimer, Hoyel v'hutra he, since she, based on her testimony, was permitted to marry, hutra nami tzarasa. Ema, Hoyel v'hutra v'nissis. So you see the svara is, it depends on if she decides to get married. That's the litmus test. However, the Gemara says, maybe leichash dilma begitasoy. You know why she's so quick to marry? Maybe she came with a hidden get, that her husband divorced her, so she knew she was not married. So she's testifying that he died to ruin the tzara. So the Gemara says, if this woman marries a Yisrael, we don't marry off the tzara because of this svara. But where we do say hoyel v'hutra v'nisas, hach ba'iskin in the insif l'koyin, she's not going to live be'isr with a coin if she's a grusha. So the svara that maybe she brought a get with her, she secretly has a get, that can't be a svara if she married a coin. Now, comes basic testimony regarding how do you testify that your husband died? What are the criteria? Ein me'idin el al parts of ponim imachoitim. The face and the nose. If, for example, we ask her, what did his face and nose look? Did you see his face and nose? And if she says, I didn't see that, I couldn't recognize him. Let's say she couldn't recognize the face or his nose was removed. So then we don't allow her to get married because maybe it's not him. The corpse that she saw was not her husband. Let's say he has a very prominent mole on his body somewhere, or he's wearing certain clothing that she recognizes as her husband. That's not sufficient for this type of testimony. Ein me'idin ela ad shetetzei nafsho. You can't see him really, torn up. You got to see that he's dead. Vafilu rahu meguyed. He's chopped up, tzaluv, crucified. Or he sees an animal eating from him. Not only that, if you saw him within 3 days of his death, you can give testimony. If it's after 3 days, we're concerned that he deteriorated, and she can't recognize him properly. Rav Yehuda ben Bava says we don't follow these rules. Lo kol adam v'lo kol hamakom v'lo kol hashol shava. Every person, every case is different. Ton Rabbanan, padachas v'lo parts of panim. If you only see his forehead, but not his face, or parts of panim v'lo padachas, or his face without the forehead, ein me'idin ad sheyushneim im achoitim. You need the forehead, the face, and the nose. Am Rabbi Vitem Rav Kana Mikra, Hakaras Pneim an Sabam. It's a pasuk. That means you got to recognize his face. Abba bar Merta du Abba bar Manyumi have a maski beit ve Reish Galusa zuze. The Reish Galusa was trying to collect money from him. So I see Kira, he got a pumpkin, Dovak bivlaisra. We brought some wax, and stuck it on his forehead. Like cosmetic. And then he walked by those guys who were collecting money from him. They didn't recognize him. So you see, by changing your forehead, you can fool people. That's why the padachas is part of how you recognize the person. So, afal pi sheyesh simonim, we say, even though there are other simonim on his body or his clothing, we don't accept that. So what? L'meimer de simonim lav d'oraisa? What? Reliance on simonim is not minat Torah? Is that why, since remarrying her is a Torah law, so what do you tell me? Simonim is not minat Torah? V'raminu. Let's say a person found a get. Matzu kosher b'kiyas of arniki with tabas. It was tied with a wallet and a ring. Oshaninsa ben Caleb was found with his clothing. Afilus man meruba kosher. Well, isn't it because simonim, we are soymech on simonim minat Torah to give a get. So why shouldn't we rely on simonim in his body or his clothing? Amar by loy kasha. Harabalozu ben mavoy harabonon. Spach loikas tanon. The Tanya. Ein me'idin ala shuma. Shuma is like a mole. So that's not a good siman. Either it'll fall off or it can change. Rabbi Lezer ben mavoy amar me'idin. So the Gemara now says, "My lav al kamiflagi." The Marsav is Simonim Daraisa. So one of the Mandarma who say that you can rely on the Shuma because he holds Simonim are being Daraisa. Marsav is Simonim Drabonim. So you can't be matir the Esash Ish because Simonim only Drabonim. Amar Rava, no. Kulam is Simonim Daraisa. The power of Simonim is Minat Torah. So what's the machlokas here with the Shuma? Can you find a mole in a similar person? You know, you find a mole in this guy, you can find a mole in other people of the same age. No, that a Shuma is very specific. And therefore you can rely on it. Others say that this machlokas, whether you rely on a Shuma, is based on the machlokas whether a mole can change after a person's death. The act of dying causes it to fall off or change color. The one that says you can't rely on it holds because it might change after Misa. Vikadi Amri, a third approach, learning this sugya. Really, we don't matter an Isha to get married is because Simonim like this on a person's body or clothing are midrabanan. How come over there Rabbi Elazar ben Mavoy said me'idin ala shuma? Fine. A regular siman is drabana, but a siman that is a siman muvak, a siman that is a excellent siman, that's the machlokes. Marsav is siman muvak, that a shuma is a siman muvak, and therefore you can be soymech on it, even to be mater neshus ish. Marsav lav siman muvak, it's not a siman muvak. Ulahaklish nadam rabba simonim doraisa. Now, Rava, one of his tirutzim, simonim are doraisa, and really it's a different machlokes. Well, if simonim are doraisa, how do you explain our Mishnah? Haktani afal pishiyesh simonim begufo v'kelim. The Mishnah said if he had a simon on his body or on his kelim, you can't rely on it. Why? If according to Rava, simonim are doraisa, you should rely on it. And for the Gemara, Gufo, what the Mishnah is talking about, the Aruch V'gut. He's long, he's tall, he's short. So that's a siman ma'alma. It's not a siman muvik. So we wouldn't rely on that. And why don't we rely on a siman in his clothing? Caleb, the chayshin and l'she'ela, maybe he borrowed it from somebody. And therefore, it's not his. Vi chayshin l'she'ela chamor b'simone ukev hechi madrinan. Now, they used to find a donkey with its saddle, and somebody would say, oh yeah, I have a simon, give it back to me, and they would give it back. Well, if they gave a simon from the saddle, we just learned that you have to be chayesh l'she'ela, that maybe he borrowed it from somebody. So, and for the Gemara, lo shayli inish ukva, the mekasav leila chamra. A saddle was made for each and every donkey, tailor-made. Otherwise, it would damage the donkey. So therefore, this saddle belonged to this donkey forever. Okay. However, if you're going to say simonim or deraisa, if we're going to say that we are choishesh l'she'ela, matzah kosher b'kisu v'arnik v'dabas eichim adrinan. We said if you find a get tied to a ring or a purse, we say you can give it back to that guy who gave you a simon, and he can divorce his wife with this get. Oh, I don't understand. These are kalim. Why aren't we chayish that they're borrowed? So, number one, people do not loan their tabas. We're talking about a signet ring, where people used to use, they would ink it and sign their documents with it. So that they wouldn't give out. Chayish l'ziyufa, because it's going to cause counterfeit. a wallet and a purse, people didn't loan that. It was like superstitious to do it. Or, simple answer, the Mishnah didn't rely on kalim because he said it's white, it's black. He gave a general siman, not a siman moving. Okay, important sugya, all of these. Then the Gemara said, "Afilu roi maguyid." Maguyid is like he was chopped up. You still can't testify, said the Mishnah, that he was died. What, a person chopped up like that can live? Raminu. A person does not convey tum until he dies. Afilu maguyid, even if he's chopped up, afilu goises, and even if he's ready to die. So the Gemara is medak a maguyid can't live. So why shouldn't we be able to testify on a husband that he's dead because they found him maguyid? This also is told in Machlokes. The Tanya Meidin ala maguyid. The Tanakhama says, you see somebody chopped up, missing limbs, he's like dead. But ein meidin ala tzalu. If you find him crucified on a crucifix, he might live. He said you can't testify on any of these. Even a maguyid can heal. Okay, so therefore then, the Gemara is setting up in our Mishnah that said if she saw him maguyid, can't testify. Is umimatis looking at corruption Elazar? That's implying that our Mishnah is going like Reb Shimon Elazar. But v'aktani seifa. Let's learn the next brisa that follows the Mishnah we just learned. Ma'aseh ba'asya in Asia usually refers to like Asia Minor, like Turkey. Whenever the Gemara refers to Asya, that's usually what it refers to. Ma'aseh ba'asya be'echad sheshushu l'yam. He sort of fell over in some kind of rope. He was hanging on, and then they picked up the rope. He was gone, but then when they picked up the rope, his foot, the body wasn't there, just his leg. Now, how much of his leg? If it was from the thigh, then he can't survive that. Tinase. You can testify that, and she can get married. But if it's below the knee, lo tinase. Because maybe he could survive that. So how come over there it seems to imply that Meguyid, he could be, even according to Rabbi Shimon Elazar, he could be considered dead. Why did, according to Rabbi Shimon Elazar, they say that she can marry? Shiny Maya de Marzumaka. It's water is worse. It made the wound worse that made him die. I saw an Arab, the Shakal Savshe Vagadi Lagamle. He took a sword and he chopped up his camel, but the camel kept on braying. But he died. Implying that a Maguyid can't live. The camel was weak. That's why he died. But otherwise he would not. Rava says the Arab used a white hot sword, which when it cuts, it also seals, and therefore doesn't bleed. Then the Mishnah said, if his wife sees a lion eating the guy up, he still cannot testify that he died. That's if the lion is nibbling on his foot, because but if he's eating his liver or his heart, then me'idin. Then of course you can testify. Somebody shechted a human being, the simonim, the esophagus and his trachea, or the majority of them. So you can test, and we didn't see him anymore. Me'it, and you can testify that he died. Versus any, now he can't speak because his trachea has been cut, but he does some kind of like hand motion, and he says, "Give a get to my wife," or write a get. Only a live person, a live man can give a get. So this guy who was shechted is viewed as alive. Yeah, says the Achayu, but V'sof alamos. Right now he's alive, but he's gonna die. Well, if it's a death blow, if somebody accidentally killed somebody, he should be able to go into Golus. If you shecht, it's Al Matanya Shochat Shneim Rav Shneim Arei Ze'ena Gola. Such a person is not considered a murderer, and he doesn't go to Golus. Because Hayit Bar Laam Rav Oishech Haishin Shem Aruch Bilbalto, that it wasn't the injury itself that killed him. It was eventually the wind, the air around him, that's why he died. And therefore, you don't go to Golus unless, let's say you were chopping wood and an axe flew off and hit a guy. It's got to be a direct death due to what you did. But if it's indirect, he died from something else, you don't go to Golus. Or Nami Shema Ihu Kira Misos, or maybe the guy himself brought his death closer on his own. He damaged himself. Now, my binayu, what's the difference between those two svaras? The ruach, he did it to himself. The shachta bebesa the shaishu parpe. He was in a marble house where there was no wind, and he was jerking around. So if the ruach is what's causing it, there was no ruach. But since he moved around, maybe he's the one who hastened his own death. Or he was shechted outside. There was wind. He didn't move around. There, you have to be choishes for ruach and not on his own action. Okay.
Tomorrow?
Is there a Reisman Street? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I
Okay,
don't know. I didn't hear anything.
Okay, so
They
we'll
said
learn.